Unless you've been living under a rock for the last few days, you should know about the cease and desist situation going on with Activision at the moment. But if you're a nomad without access to the internet, I suppose I can give you a little bit of a rundown. H2M is a mod for Modern Warfare Remastered made by some talented members of the COD community. It was designed to be a revival of sorts for Modern Warfare 2 by adding all the maps, reworking the prestige system, shit like that. People heard about this and it got a whole lot of hype to the point that MWR hit number 3 on Steam sales this month. Keep in mind, this game is damn near 8 years old, so that many sales is kind of crazy. Everything was looking good and the mod was just getting ready to launch, but then Activision sent over a fat old cease and desist, making the developers shut down the mod. Of course, the community is incredibly pissed, and why wouldn't they be? If you wanted to go play these games right now, well, you can't. Activision doesn't put any money into anti-cheat or security for these games anymore, so the lobbies are riddled with hackers to the point that the game is damn near unplayable. The community took to review bombing MWR on Steam, and Twitter is currently laying into Activision. Even big names like FaZe Banks and FaZe Jev are calling them out on this bullshit. As for why I wanted to make a video on this, for as long as I can remember, Activision has never really gave a damn about their community. They have a history of milking the wallets of their players, doing anti-consumer shit, and just being flat out scummy. So I wanted to delve a little bit into the last 10 years of Call of Duty so we can revisit some of the awful shit that Activision has done over the years. So get comfy and let's talk a little bit of shit. How I'm going to go about this video is that I'm going to go year by year and talk about whatever Call of Duty released during that time period. So if you want to hear me talk about a specific COD, then skip to that timestamp in the video and then you'll hear me yap about it. But without further ado, let's get into our first Call of Duty that I'm going to be talking about.
Take your order?
Oh, can I get an
What the?
If you were to ask a good portion of COD players when the game started getting really frustrating, some will tell you Ghosts, and others will probably tell you Advanced Warfare. If we were just going to talk about the game itself, it was actually incredibly fun in my opinion. The exosuits weren't something we ever seen in COD before, so it was a drastic but fun switch up, at least to me. But we ain't here to talk about the gameplay, we're here to talk about these things. These evil, disgusting, vile things. This is a supply drop, and if you started playing COD within the last 4 or 5 years, you probably have no idea what this is. Supply drops are basically COD's version of loot boxes containing weapon variations, cosmetics, XP boosts, stuff like that. Now, see, this would be okay if the weapon variations and supply drops were cosmetic only, but they weren't. Some of these variations were leagues better than the original weapons, such as the Bal 27 Obsidian Steed, Moore's Quickbolt, ASM1 Speakeasy, or HBR83 Insanity. If you had any of these weapon variations, there was zero reason to use the originals because they have shit like quicker rate of fire, better damage, or faster ADS speed. Now see, supply drops were bad enough given that you already didn't get them too often and there was a chance that you would never obtain some of these weapons. And Activision heard these complaints, but still about a third of the way into the game's life cycle, they introduced these advanced supply drops. These were different in the sense that you had better chances of getting rare things, and also you could buy them with real money. This would start the disease on YouTube known as supply drop openings, where content creators would spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars buying and opening supply drops. These videos would motivate the rest of the community to also spend money on supply drops, which in turn made Activision some serious bank. Not only did people have to buy the $60 game and get the $50 season pass to get content throughout the year, but in order to keep up in multiplayer, you also either had to play a lot or fork up the dough and buy some supply drops. A lot of people were incredibly unhappy with this situation, so Activision had a choice to make. Create a more consumer-friendly microtransaction system that increases morale around the community, or make more money by doubling down on supply drops. What did they choose?
You know I had to double it.
Yes! Yes!
Widely regarded as the last year that Call of Duty was actually fun, Black Ops 3 was an absolute phenomenon with the introduction of specialists, a reworked jetpack system, a stacked list of release maps, and, at least at launch, a cosmetic-only supply drop system. And this was really cool because we were specifically told that no new range weapons will be entering the supply drop loot pool. So overall, the community was really happy with Black Ops 3. until February 8th, with the introduction of the NX Shadowclaw, and the MX Grand, and the Marshall 16. All of these weapons were exclusive to supply drops, and there was no other way to obtain them. You couldn't buy them, you couldn't earn them, it was just luck. As you can imagine, most people weren't happy about that, but of course, Activision didn't really give a damn, because get this, Activision Blizzard made $1 billion. Yes, 1 billion. 9 zeros. Wait, is that 9 zeros? Yes, 9 zeros. Exclusively from microtransactions in summer 2016. Not in a year, not year to date, one summer. So, if we learned anything from this year, it was that it doesn't matter what the community says, it doesn't matter what we want or what we like. If it will make Activision money, they will do it, and they don't care what it is. They'll go back on promises, they will be anti-consumer as possible, and they will double down on it as long as it yields profit. As time went on, Treyarch would add contracts where, if completed, it would give a random ranged weapon, but for a lot of people, myself included, this didn't give you what you wanted. I did one of these, and I got the HG40, which at the time was one of the worst weapons in the entire game. I even made multiple accounts to do these contracts, and again, I got jack shit. I wish I had screenshots, but they're all on my old PS4. I don't have them anymore. For me, Black Ops 3 was one of my favorite games ever, but it'll forever be tainted by my experience with the supply drop system, because I'll never forget wanting the MX Grand so incredibly badly, but never having an opportunity to obtain it. If they sold it for $20, I would have bought it immediately, and I probably would have got a bunch of other weapons too, but I digress. The monetization in Black Ops 3 would go on the list of some of the most predatory microtransactions in gaming history, and Activision made it incredibly clear that they don't really give a damn about us, but as you'll see in the next section, it actually gets worse. Yep, supply drops were in this game too, although slightly better, and then worse. But anyways, not much needs to be said about IW. Everyone hated it, although unpopular opinion, I thought it was really fun, but that's neither here nor there. This game, like Advanced Warfare, had weapon variants that were better than their original weapons, but to counter that, it introduced a currency called salvage, which allowed you to purchase these variants. And salvage was earned just by playing, but in casual Activision fashion, you could still just buy supply drops, which would greatly expedite the process of you earning these variants. The system would improve / worsen when the DLC weapons were introduced, because on the one hand, you could earn these weapons through completing challenges, no supply drops required, but on the other hand, most of the variants of these DLC weapons were completely locked behind supply drops. I remember this especially with the M2187 Salvo, which was just completely fucking ridiculous, like look at this shit here. But when it comes to Activision being predatory this year, I actually don't think supply drops in IW was the worst of it. I actually believe the worst of it this year was how they went about Modern Warfare Remastered. So everyone put on your tinfoil hats, because here's my theory. IW was the third year of jetpack combat for Call of Duty, and I think that they knew there would be a chance for it to come with some negativity. I just don't think they expected that much negativity. But I think that's why they made MWR, for people that were tired of jetpacks and just wanted to play regular Call of Duty again. But the incredibly scummy part of all of this is that the people who didn't want to play IW had to buy it anyway, because if they wanted to play MWR at launch, the game was locked off to anyone who didn't buy both, which is just so fucking stupid. It was just a way for them to milk more money out of fans, which is just so awful considering the fact that MWR was made for the OG fans, so out of all people you want to do this scummy shit too, why would you want to do it to your day ones? But that isn't it though. Guess what they did? No, for real, go on guess. No, come on, I bet you won't guess what they did. Okay, I'm just gonna tell you. They added supply drops to MWR as well. Just why? And also, that isn't it. Get this. They took maps from the original Modern Warfare and put them in a map pack for MWR and started selling it for $5 more than what it costed in 07. Yeah man, I'm done. I can't. It's like, what the? Is that not crazy? People saw MWR as a way to get away from the predatory business decisions that Activision was making, but then they go and fuck that up too. So, overall, I think the way they handled MWR was just ridiculous. I can't even believe that Activision was stooped that low to treating their fans like that. But You're probably thinking now, damn bro, Activision really fucking sucks. Well, yes, they do suck, but at least it gets slightly better from here. Slightly. As the name of the game implies, the game takes place during World War II. After 3 years of jetpacks, Call of Duty fans just wanted to return back to boots on the ground, so Sledgehammer Games obliged and gave us this, which on release was ass. Shitty maps, a shitty class system, and shitty score streaks made for an all-around shitty game. Most people that bought the game ended up quitting because of how terrible it was, but around halfway through the game's life cycle, it got an update which completely turned it upside down, which is actually when I started playing. As you can infer, supply drops were in this game too. Surprise, surprise. However, this game did introduce a really cool system called weapon contracts, which, as the name implies, you complete a contract, you get a weapon. These would reset every week, so you can guarantee yourself a new DLC weapon every week, granted you're able to afford and complete the contract in time. Although everyone just wanted supply drop weapons to be extinct, I have to admit this was still a massive step in the right direction, as it allowed people who didn't have cash to toss a way to still get new weapons. However, I'm aware that this system isn't something that most people are going to remember given how many people quit the game on launch, which I don't blame them for. It was terrible, but it does suck that it takes a game to be on its deathbed for Activision to start treating their players decently. This game here released following the blow-up of Fortnite, which completely changed the monetization model of gaming forever. Game companies were making battle royales left and right, and many developers were integrating a battle pass into their games, and Black Ops 4 was no exception to either of these. Black Ops 4 adapted both the battle pass model and made a battle royale called Blackout. And to answer your question, yes, supply drops were in this game as well. Did you really expect anything different? Although they're not called supply drops in this game, they're called reserves, because naming it differently is going to do anything. When it comes to the monetization for this game, it actually launched pretty okay, if I'll be honest. There were no weapons in supply drops at all. All of the post-launch weapons were in the battle pass, which was actually free every season, so you would think that Activision was finally going down a consumer-friendly path, huh? Yeah, that was a good one. No, actually, later on in the game's lifecycle, they would go on to put weapons exclusively in supply drops. Oh, I'm sorry. Reserves. How could I ever mix up these two words? They're so incredibly different. At this point, you couldn't buy these weapons either. You were just stuck into not being able to use them. But then, a surprise happened a little later. Black Ops 4 actually introduced a system called a pick-a-weapon bribe, which in exchange for 50 reserve cases, you could get a weapon of your choice. Could you believe that? I sure as shit couldn't. Is this Activision we're still talking about? Is this still a fuck Activision video? This was a drastic change compared to the last Treyarch game where if you want a particular weapon, they basically told you to eat shit. So let's be honest. Over the past 2 years, Activision hasn't been perfect with these microtransactions, but we can't sit here and lie and say it wasn't an improvement, although in both games getting to the consumer-friendly system was a bit tenuous. There's been ups and downs, but both of these games ended in decent spots, at least monetization-wise. So let's move on to the next game, and let's hope it's a similar situation. Camping Warfare, Modern Warfare is a game that I hated a lot, but how I feel about the game isn't really important to this video. What is important is that Activision got rid of supply drops. Yes, they are gone. They finally decided to listen to us. They actually care about us. It was like, oh, what's this? Oh. So yeah, they didn't take supply drops out of the game because they listen to their community or because they care about how we spend our money. They took supply drops out of the game because of international gambling regulations. Around this time, probability-based drops, also known as the loot box system, caught eyes of many of the world's legal systems, and this made developers have to change how they integrated them into their game. Loot boxes themselves weren't illegal, but the way that they existed had to be changed, which most game companies didn't really want to bother doing. So, technically speaking, supply drops could have stayed in Call of Duty, and they most likely would have if the Battle Pass system wasn't such an easy moneymaker, which isn't something I mentioned. This game went full-on Fortnite and decided to have seasons and a purchasable battle pass that gave you rewards for both multiplayer and Warzone. So no, they didn't remove supply drops because they care about you. They removed supply drops because putting them in the game became more difficult. It's like one of those situations when you're getting bullied in school, so you tell your teacher and she makes the bully apologize. He's not apologizing because he had a change of heart. He's apologizing because he'll get in trouble if he doesn't. However, Activision didn't want the Battle Pass to be the only form of monetization in this game. Like Fortnite, they added a shop with an item rotation. A common complaint is that the items in the shop were ridiculously expensive, and that wasn't completely false. A lot of the items in this game came with bundles that weren't available for separate purchase, and these bundles could cost upwards of like $20+. Because of this shop system and the Battle Pass, looking cool was borderline impossible unless you had dough to throw, because there wasn't a lot of cool looking cosmetics that were earnable through gameplay. They were all locked behind the shop in the pass. Some people even prefer the supply drop system to this one because eventually they can net themselves some cool cosmetics just by playing the game, which I can see the validity of, even though I don't necessarily agree, but Activision would never oblige to a system that actually makes sense, so it's not like it really matters anyway. Oh yeah, and I almost forgot to mention that this is the year that Warzone came out, which is one of the biggest things that come out within the last 5 years. You know, it was making a ton of money for Activision as well. Overall, if you ask me, the monetization of this game wasn't terrible. I do think that Call of Duty costing $70 and still asking $10 every 3 months is a little yucky, but overall it's better than gambling your money away for something you can't guarantee for yourself. I do wish that cool looking cosmetics were more easily obtainable, but keep in mind, this is Activision we're talking about here. I'm going to be grouping these next 2 years together because unfortunately, I don't have very much to say about either one of these two games. As for why I don't have anything to say about Cold War, well, the monetization system in this game is pretty much identical to the last one, where you still have a $7 release and a $10 battle pass every 3 to 4 months, so everything that I said about the last game can pretty much be applied to this one. As for why I don't have anything to say about Vanguard, well, I didn't play Vanguard, and I actually don't know many people that played Vanguard at all. In fact, I think that Call of Duty was like pretty much in like a ghost year that year. Like I heard nothing about Vanguard, and the things that I did hear were not good things. So I feel like it might be better if I just don't visit that Call of Duty. You know, some things are better left forgotten, or I guess in my case, just never even known to begin with. So anyways, on to the next games.
That shit is a 2-pack of ass.
This is a game that I could have gone without, but I didn't go without it, so here we are. Yeah, the monetization in this game was pretty much the same as it's been for the last 3 years, except for the introduction of this shit. This is Black Cell. No, not the rocket launcher Black Cell. Black Cell, the Premium Pass, or I guess I should call it the Premium Pass. So they made a premium version of the Battle Pass to supersede the Premium Pass, which supersedes the regular pass. Damn, that's a mindfuck. As I'm sure most of you know, you only have to spend $10 to be able to supply yourself with battle passes for the rest of the year, as each pass contains enough COD points to get you the next one. Activision knows this, which is why this cannot be bought with COD points. Only cold, hard cash is acceptable. Kinda scummy, but you're probably wondering, for how much cash though? Well, only for the measly price of
Googly muggly.
Ooh, okay, that's a lot of money, but what does it give you? Well, typically the Black Cell gives you 1100 COD points, 20 tier skips, new operators, some new operator skins, a weapon blueprint, and you know, things along the lines of that. It is completely up to the player if this ghastly price is worth it to them, but the existence of a $30 premium pass in a game that already costs $70 is just kinda crazy, at least to me. Luckily, everything behind this price tag is cosmetic only though, so I mean, that's a plus, but creating a bunch of cosmetics that's locked behind an expensive paywall when the community has already asked for more earnable cosmetics is right in character for our friends at Activision. Other than that, everything else in this game is pretty much the same as the last few, so let's move on.
So open the blinds and maybe we're gonna see some stars out today.
I unfortunately don't have much to say about Modern Warfare 3, and at this point in the video, you probably think that I hate Call of Duty or something because of how much I've been shitting on it, but truth is, I don't hate Call of Duty. I adore the franchise, which is why it sucks that this costs $70. 0 original maps on launch alongside a shitty campaign just doesn't scream $70 to me. This was advertised as an original AAA experience, but it's just Modern Warfare 2 with more guns, a slower time to kill, with the same exact engine, You can even use Modern Warfare 2 guns and Modern Warfare 3 for crying out loud. Half of the campaign is just Warzone! However, for some reason, I'm not surprised that this game was priced as a brand new AAA title, because it really is just like Activision to make $40 or $50 worth of content and then slap a AAA price tag on it. The worst part about all of this is that there are people out here that actually defend this shit, and I don't know how. You're being sold maps that have already been made before on the same exact game engine. You paid $70 for an update! And I'm certain that the reason that it's sold for this price is because people will buy it, even if it isn't worth the price. But, like I said, I don't have too much to say about Modern Warfare 3, and I have no clue why this shit costs $70, but, I mean, hey, what you gonna do? It's Activision for you. So I think the lesson we've learned here by going through all of these years of Call of Duty is that Activision as a company fucking blows. They don't care about us now, and frankly, they've never cared about us. The only way to get them to respect us is either if it makes them money or if their game is dying. And like I said before, I don't hate Call of Duty. This is a franchise I have so many good memories with. I just wish the people in charge of the game actually gave a rat's ass about their community. But I've come to terms with the fact that all I'll be in Activision's eyes is a sales statistic, and that sucks, but that's the way it is. That's gonna be the end of this video though. In the comments, I'd like for y'all to tell me what y'all think. When do you think Activision's scumminess was at its worst, and when do you think their monetization was at its best? Any stories regarding Call of Duty's microtransactions that you got, and what changes would you have made to their monetization models, current or past games? In regards to some stuff that I said, let me know what I was wrong about, what I was right about, anything that you agree or disagree with. Tell me everything on y'all's minds, cause I wanna hear it all. I'm gonna be heading out though. Like the video only if you liked it, and subscribe if you want to hear me yap about more irrelevant stuff. I got a lot more ideas planned. But I will be seeing all you lovely ladies and gentlemen later. Bye bye.
You think cause I done made a mistake? I think cause need to stay in this place. Need to get out of my face. We ain't talking change while you here. Finna make me some bread and then dip. I done got me some F in a dip. Dog, you sound like a fed, let me dip. Yeah, I said what I said, now I dip. Nigga don't own you already picked. You rappers is jokes, it's all for my feet. Yeah, I said what I said, now I dip.